In the beginning, it seemed as though your person was avoiding you, retreating emotionally, even energetically, as if they were trying to escape something. This withdrawal may not have made sense at the time. You might have sensed that they were fleeing from deeper truths, perhaps not about you, but about themselves. It wasn't just your connection they seemed to resist, it was the depth of emotion, the vulnerability, and the mirror your presence unintentionally held up to them. Your bond carried a certain intensity, a depth that perhaps neither of you fully anticipated. It touched on unhealed wounds and emotional fractures that they had long avoided. Being with you, or even being in your energy, may have stirred feelings within them that they didn't feel prepared to face. But now, the tables have turned. Where once they ran, they now seem to be drawn back towards you, urgently, irresistibly, as though pulled by an unseen force. This sudden reversal in their behavior may seem abrupt, even confusing, but it is not without deeper cause. What you couldn't have known is that your presence in their life initiated something profound. Without trying, without pressing, you acted as a catalyst. You awakened something dormant inside of them, something they had been running from for years. Your energy, your essence, served as a mirror, revealing the unresolved pain, the habits, the addictions, the parts of themselves they had long denied. Through your connection, they were forced, perhaps for the first time, to look within and confront their emotional wounds. It wasn't your words that did this, it was simply your presence. The honesty in your love and the emotional depth you brought made denial impossible. That confrontation was painful, but necessary. And as much as they may have resisted it at first, it became the beginning of a long-overdue journey of self-discovery. In parallel, you were undergoing your own transformation. Something within you shifted. You recognized that the constant pouring of your time, energy, and affection into someone who couldn't yet receive it was exhausting you. You began to realize that love should not be an act of self-sacrifice alone, and you made the courageous decision to reclaim your energy. You withdrew, not out of spite or bitterness, but out of necessity. You stopped chasing, stopped waiting, and instead turned inward. You chose yourself. And though it was incredibly difficult, it was one of the most important steps in your own healing. This decision, however, did not go unnoticed. Your absence created a silence they weren't prepared for. They had grown so used to your warmth, your attention, your emotional availability, that its absence left them unsettled. What was once taken for granted became deeply missed. Your energy had been a balm, a source of light in their otherwise chaotic inner world. Suddenly, it was gone. And with that loss came confusion, frustration, and, eventually, an aching void. For someone so used to being the center of your universe, the sudden shift in your attention was jarring. But in that discomfort, clarity began to dawn. In your absence, they finally began to understand what your presence truly meant. It was only then that they realized how deeply seen and accepted they had felt with you. The emotional safety you offered, the way your energy harmonized with theirs without effort, was unlike anything they had ever known. The connection wasn't just special, it was singular. And the truth hit them hard, no one else could ever replicate the way you loved them. No one else would ever understand them quite the way you did. This realization was both comforting and terrifying. Comforting because it confirmed what they had always known deep down, and terrifying because they had allowed that love to slip through their fingers. At this moment in their journey, they may be going through a significant inner upheaval. It could be manifesting as sleepless nights, vivid dreams, or intuitive nudges urging them to break free from the stagnant patterns and emotional cages they've lived in for so long. These signs might be subtle whispers or loud alarms, but their message is consistent: it's time for transformation. And in the midst of all this emotional chaos, one thing remains unchanged: you. or rather, the sense of peace that you brought into their life. Even across distance, physical or emotional, you continue to be their refuge, their safe place. Your voice, your words, your energy still echo in their heart, offering a sense of comfort that nothing else seems to replicate. They may not admit it openly, but your love has become a compass in their life. Even now, as they confront the weight of their past actions and missteps, you remain the one steady thing they return to in their heart and mind. Your relationship has endured storms, periods of closeness and disconnection, of passion and pain. Yet, despite everything, one truth stands strong: the bond you share is profound. It has survived adversity, distance, and time. And in doing so, it has proven itself to be not only meaningful, but transformative. They carry the burden of regret deeply. If they could go back, they would take back every word, every action, every moment that brought you pain. This remorse is not superficial, it haunts them. The knowledge that they hurt the very person who gave them light, who loved them with sincerity and depth, weighs heavily on their heart. You opened them up. You showed them a world beyond the one they knew. You gave them love that asked for nothing but honesty in return. And yet, they couldn't meet you there, not because you weren't worth it, but because they didn't believe they were. They clung to old identities, old habits, and the familiar chaos of their 3D life. They were so trapped in their fears and ego that they couldn't see the treasure they had found in you. Now, in your absence, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. They realize they allowed their ego to dominate their heart, that they let fear speak louder than love. They had a chance to grow with you, to heal with you, and they pushed it away. Not because they didn't care, but because they thought you deserved better than the broken pieces they had to offer. You were their haven, their home, and yet they pushed you out of it, thinking it would somehow protect you from their darkness. But now they are left alone in that same darkness, yearning for the warmth they chose to abandon. They watch from afar as you transform. The inner work you've done, the healing, the self-reflection, the boundary setting, has changed you. You radiate differently now. Your energy is no longer laced with longing or emotional depletion. It's vibrant, balanced, magnetic. You've become someone who values peace over chaos, who understands that love without respect and reciprocity is not sustainable. You've built a foundation within yourself, one that no longer depends on external validation. And that foundation glows. Your partner sees it. They see the light in you, and it both inspires and humbles them. You've grown into someone who can no longer be approached with half-hearted efforts or unclear intentions. You require truth now, clarity, emotional availability, and mutual respect. They know this. They know that if they wish to return, it cannot be on the same terms. The same patterns, excuses, or avoidance won't be accepted. They must come to you whole, honest, and willing to do the emotional work. The power dynamic has shifted, not out of pride or punishment, but because you've finally recognized your worth. You've reclaimed your energy and created space for authentic love. If they truly want to be part of your life again, they must rise to meet the standards you've set, not just for them, but for yourself. This moment in time is pivotal. For them, it's a crucible, a moment of reckoning where they must examine who they've been and who they want to become. They are submerged in introspection, sifting through the emotional wreckage of their choices. And as they do, one truth stands out: you were the love they didn't know how to hold. You were the calm in their storm, the voice of reason in their chaos, the warmth in their coldness. And they let that go. Not because they didn't love you, but because they didn't yet know how to love themselves. And so, here you both stand, two people on separate but parallel journeys. You, having done the inner work, Now embody the peace and self-worth you always deserved. Them, still navigating the labyrinth of healing, remorse, and awakening. They are starting to understand that the love they lost wasn't just rare, it was sacred. And they also understand that no amount of material success, distraction, or fleeting connection can fill the space you once occupied in their heart. That space is yours alone. They may still be searching for the right words, for the courage to say what's been buried for so long. They may not yet be ready to approach you, but the internal shift has begun. Whether or not they find the strength to make amends, one thing is certain, your love changed them. It forced growth, provoked honesty, and cracked open a heart that had long been guarded. You didn't just walk into their life, you awakened it. And that awakening, however painful, will shape who they become. In the meantime, you continue to walk your path with grace. You carry no bitterness, only the wisdom that comes from loving deeply and learning when to let go. You've learned that love is not about losing yourself for someone else, but about becoming the most authentic version of yourself. And in doing so, you've become a beacon, not just to them, but to anyone who crosses your path. The future of your relationship remains unwritten, suspended in the space between hope and uncertainty. But whether reconciliation comes or not, one truth remains: the bond you shared was real, powerful, and transformational. And its echo will continue to reverberate in both your hearts, shaping you in ways that only love, even in its most painful form, ever could.